everybody, welcome to another Age of Grogu, and I'm Brent, and I've got here with me Elijah and Max. Guys, how's it going?
It's
Hey,
going.
Hey, how's things going? How's everyone's week been? How is Star Wars week been? Because this is like May 4th week, so well today we're at Revenge of the Fifth, so we are Revenge of the Fifth.
Revenge of the Fifth. Oh yeah,
Revenge, yeah.
I like Revenge of the Fifth better than May the
The
Fourth.
May the 4th, really? Seriously? I love May the 4th. I get very excited and giddy about this week. Uh, what have you been up to, Elijah? Anything much? Anything interesting? Anything you've seen or watched or cool stuff?
What have I been watching online? Gosh, I don't know. But I just went to San Diego. I was there for a couple of days. And just,
Oh, cool,
that's
awesome.
what I was
All
doing
right,
the last couple of days.
no, so nothing major new
So I
this
just
week.
watched caught up with the last three of the Tales of the Empire.
Okay,
So I just
cool.
watched
Yeah,
that.
we'll talk about the three that we watched. We still haven't. We've watched one arc and reacted to one arc. We're going to hopefully get the other one pretty soon.
Hmm.
We did the arc with Barriss Offee, so we're going to go and do drop
First,
the episode
whatever.
arcs
First two.
for
I
Morgan
didn't know they were
Elsbeth.
separate like that. I just started watching it.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. What about you, Max? What you been up to? What's going on?
well, instead of celebrating Star Wars Day, I was celebrating Free Comic Book Day.
Okay,
Um,
there you go.
I had a good
What did
day.
you
Got
get?
some. So my favorite purchase is this, the
Oh yeah.
Romnibus.
Yeah, I saw you
Uh,
post that. You were just
Oh
saying the
cool.
other day. He's like, "Oh, I want to get this."
Uh
I know.
huh.
I said that we were looking at it and things from another world, but the listing price is $125 for it,
Oh
which
damn.
I'm not going to pay that. That's ridiculous. This was I
Yeah.
got it for $40.
Oh wow,
Which is
that's cool.
what I said to Elijah. I said, "Yeah, if it was like $40, I'd totally buy that."
Yeah.
But
Cool.
I saw it for
Nice.
$40. But then I also got some Batman stuff. I got Nightfall, the
Nice.
Nightfall Omnis.
Uh huh.
Those were those were super cheap too.
Yep.
What else did I get? Oh, I got Colin Kelly Jackson Lansing's new book, With Wolf. They
Okay.
found it for me yesterday. Yeah, I see them all the time. Great guys, great writers.
Right.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. They're the only people I know that ended up using Doom like a person would use a shotgun and made it
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Yep.
Um, but yeah,
That's cool.
cool, fun
Nice.
day.
Yeah. I haven't really watched anything major new. I'm kind of just sitting through The Walking Dead still very slowly. But the one thing I did get to do yesterday was that they just opened up at the Academy of Motion Picture museum. They dropped for Star Wars week and is out there for I think a couple of for another month or so. The Dykstra Flex camera. That's the original camera that John Dykstra built to
Built
shoot all the
built
miniature
himself.
models.
It was great.
Yeah, for Star Wars. So they had the original camera. There's only really
Wow.
one of them that exists, but then they also had a demonstration as well. So this is the camera here mounted. They actually had uh, recently a guy reproduced the Millennium Falcon from the model kit bashing that they did for the original Millennium Falcon. So he actually built everything in scale and everything from original parts, which was kind of cool. I got the chance to talk to the guy who did this, but it was documented, it was online. I'd watched a piece of the documentary about probably 6 months ago, but it took him like 2 years, 3 years to get find all these pieces that he could kit bash from original parts from original model kits. And I asked him the question. I said, "Did you manage to find every single one, or did you have to resort to having to 3D print some pieces because they just didn't exist?" And he said he had to reproduce 5 pieces of shapes that just simply either were just so expensive to get, or just they didn't exist. So pretty
Yeah,
much an exact replication
That's cool.
of how they put together Joe
And
Johnston
how
put
big was that
together
one?
the
That's
original.
pretty big, right?
It's a
That's
five.
huge.
It's a 5 foot model. Yeah. If you see it
Okay.
then with the camera, it's kind of cool. But this is the piece that I went to check out. This was the original camera, and it may not seem like much, but it is like it's Hollywood history. This is the computer that was built for that camera. You can't see it here, but on those two, in the very center there, there's two tape deck-like things called Jaws 1 and Jaws 2. And apparently they're called Jaws not because of the movie Jaws, but because they used to chew up the tape continuously as they
Oh,
put
geez.
tape cassettes in. So they risk losing some of the footage because the tape cassette would get chewed up. So eventually they were able to process it and transfer it across onto a digital system, sorry, into original chips and stuff like that. And so a lot of the original hardware. This was actually the original little Godzilla toy that they actually mounted to the camera itself. No, to the camera, to the actual unit itself as it moved along. But that was all part of ILM back in back in the '70s, doing that kind of thing. And they found that. So yeah, and then the demonstrations. I'm going to just play this on the side here. This is the camera itself. They had a big video thing with John Dykstra talking on it and stuff like that. This is just before the event kind of thing. And they had like a 15-minute event where someone stepped out and talked and showed. They had a camera operator. They had the X-Wing here, which is also the miniature built from the same guy who did the Falcon. And just showing, I'm going to keep the volume muted here. But basically you can see here that he's got the remote control and he's able to actually maneuver. And he's actually talking about two cameras moving, well, two situations happening at once. The miniature model moving while the camera makes its dive shot as well. So you get this double motion, and they're basically like when you see the X-Wings fly into the trench, the flight movement of the X-Wings moving into the trench position is coming purely from this particular model. And then the main camera is moving across as they actually make the dive. So they were able to interact these two images and make these two things correspond with each other. And then, they had everything from programming it has to go the exact same speed, the exact same motion. So they built all this to work in that sense. And it was just a fascinating kind of little piece. Again, it's history kind of thing. Watching it. So you can see how slow this camera moves. Now, this next video here, I've sped up the actual footage just so to show you what we eventually saw during the course of 2 minutes. The camera moves in. The camera is mounted from above, not from below. The actual camera box actually has got the tilt radius so it can actually shift and move. So this is how they shot every single miniature model in Star Wars, and we got quite the demonstration from it all, which was really it was an exciting little piece. It's definitely worth checking out for sure if you get the chance to go there. They've got all these other things. They've got the Academy Museum and stuff like that. So they've got some original Academy Awards and stuff on display there from different eras. But it was, and several costumes. There's a whole Godfather section there and all that too.
It's a lot of suits, I imagine.
Yeah, you know what? Not that many. I mean, it was opening day kind of thing. Most of it was, as I was saying before, that a friend of mine, his girlfriend works with them, so she was in charge of getting everything together, and was able to get me a free ticket to go in, kind of thing. So I went along with a couple of friends who were friends with him, and
Cool.
we ended up by checking it out. It was definitely something really cool. It was really sweet. So that was my day yesterday, kind of thing. And then we'll jump into some Star Wars news and stuff like that pretty soon. I was just going to cover a few quick things that we've got coming up, or things that are dropping information wise. Quickly, Planet of the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, I think, opens next week, which I'm kind of excited to see.
The poster?
You know what? It's I don't know if it's a book or whatever, but it was just a cool piece of art. It was
I think that's just one of the international posters.
it could be the international one. I just thought it was really cool, but it actually, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I enjoyed the first three. Fallout, Fallout has nabbed like 65 million views in the first 2 weeks, so I assume that season 2 is going to be definitely picked up from that. And
Well, I think that they already said it. Yeah.
They did. Oh, they did announce it. Okay, all right. Yeah.
They said they're
So I'm
exploring some New Vegas stuff, which was one of the very popular games was called New Vegas, which
okay.
takes
All
place
right.
in the ruins of Las Vegas,
Yeah.
obviously.
Spoilers here, spoilers, but they did hint towards Las Vegas right at the end of episode 8, I think it was. So,
I wonder
and
if
I
they're
have
going
no.
to be following the same characters, though, or if they're going to be introducing some new vault dwellers,
Okay.
which would be the standard of the game is introduce new characters with each iteration.
Oh, okay. All right. Again, I know nothing about the game, but I enjoyed season 1. I thought it was a well put together series and definitely had its fun moments. Other things that dropped, and this is kind of a roll with your eyes moment, but it was like the Lion King Mufasa movies coming out. They
Oh
they
my
dropped a
god!
trailer last week.
I didn't
Uh
even look at it.
yeah, I know,
I didn't
I
even
know.
look
I'm
at
just
it.
like
I didn't want to know.
it's an original film based around a bunch of CGI around Mufasa, who's Simba's father, and it goes yeah. I don't have much interest in it, but it's just kind of funny that Disney are continuing to drop the at least they're trying something new, kind of thing.
Ugh.
Uh,
I have no words for it. It's just that's
hey,
just a hilarious
hey,
concept.
sorry.
Disney's been trying
Yeah.
all these other avenues. They made like Mufasa comic
Hmm.
books. I keep seeing
Right.
those. And I'm like, what's inside of those? What story do they have to tell with Mufasa that's like worth telling? And like people are like, yeah,
Then
Wolverine
man,
walking
then
around.
Simba.
this
Yeah.
Mufasa is
I
crazy.
yeah. I again, it's like whatever. I just found it amusing. One other piece of news that came out this week, they dropped information that they are finally going to be doing a live action He-Man and the Masters of the Universe movie with a theatrical date of 2026. But here's the thing: the film will follow, according to the synopsis, a 10-year-old Prince Adam who crashes to Earth. Why did they bring it to Earth again?
What?
Yeah, in a spaceship that
Oh
was
my
separated from his
god!
magical power sword. The link
That's
home to
it. Stupid
Eternia.
already. 10-year-old. Dumb. I don't want to see it.
Do you know? You remember
This is such
Elijah?
a
I mean,
Hollywood
like, I
format.
know,
This is
I
such
know,
a
Elijah. You weren't. I know you weren't a
Oh.
huge He-Man fan, but you remember the movie, right? And the reason it failed was because it
They
went
didn't
to
have the
Earth.
power.
Well, he didn't have the.
It
He
was a
went to
canon movie.
Earth.
That's the reason it failed.
Yeah, but aside from that, one of the main reasons was it didn't take place on Eternia. It took place all on Earth, and it's like, no,
Plus,
why
they didn't. I
why
mean, they just right.
are they
It,
doing that?
well, that was like a budget saving thing, which
Of
which is like
course. And yet they still spent
horrible.
the most amount of money on the largest stage ever to build that set. That set was humongous, apparently, of Castle Grayskull interior. Apparently, that was one of the largest stages at the time. So ultimately, it's like I don't know.
I mean, I think they're just trying to follow the Hollywood format of it being like a coming of age, even though
Yeah,
he's
I
a
know.
dramatic story where he's finding his
I
power,
know.
the
I
superhero
know. I
finding his
know.
powers and
I
becoming
know. I know.
the re-origin
Yeah.
story where he
Yeah.
was a hero, he has to
Yeah.
become a hero.
Uh
It's
huh.
so dumb. They've done it a million
Yeah.
times before. Every character you
Yeah.
could think of.
Sure. But
Shouldn't
anyway,
work like this.
I
Yeah.
I'm still a He-Man fan from way back, but the reality is that
Well, we could do something
He-Man
stupid like
worked in the '80s for a certain purpose, a reason. It
it
worked
was
in the
what it is, and
'80s.
the colors and the look and the
Absolutely. Yeah,
design. They
that's
need to
it.
make a
Yeah.
movie. They can make a movie where the characters look exactly like the toys,
But I also don't know
and it
if
looks like
He-Man
the
would
like.
work in this day and age. I don't.
I
I
You
think
just
just
it
put a
would.
wig on John
as a
Cena. You
movie.
just put a
When
wig
you
on
got
John
shit,
Cena, give him a sword.
Yeah.
yes, when you got
John
shit like
Cena. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, they can make Suicide Squad work and things like that.
Yeah, I
There's a
guess so.
right way of bringing like screen
But
accurate stuff to
yeah.
screen and just doing it the right way. They try to throw in too much
It's not
stuff.
even the screen accuracy, because even though they've released continual animated cartoons and they're still trying to push their toy line, I just don't know if He-Man has any relevance to kids in this day and age. Is where I
They
was kind
don't.
of going with
They
that, and
don't.
that's the part of it. When does a character, or Transformers still does, for example, that's still going strong because it is a generational thing that can be passed down easier than something like He-Man, and I'm talking about not from
This is
Father to
still
Son as
all.
much as
They're still
the
catering.
characters. Yeah,
It's still
so
catering to us to buy it for our kids or
sure,
whatever. It's
and they're
catering to
just
us
not
to buy
interested.
for our kids, and they're like,
Yeah,
we don't
yeah,
want to do that. We want to
yeah,
watch TikTok videos and
yeah. That's
dance in
it.
front
Yeah,
of the mirror and make
yeah.
videos.
Uh huh. Yeah. So moving on from He-Man, let's go quickly. They dropped another first look of Captain America. They're going to be continuing
There's a
to
trailer.
another first look, and I still hate Harrison Ford's haircut there. I think it looks kind of a bit
Go back and go
silly.
back.
I hate Cap's new suit. It looks
Huh?
so much duller than the. I hate the new suit they went with for Captain America. It's so much duller than
Yeah,
the all white one he had.
yeah. I like the white one. I want to know
I
why they're
thought that
going
was a
with
really
this. Yeah,
vibrant suit that looked really good
hmm
on the screen. This looks so much more
yeah,
duller and blander. It's like they're trying to recreate the
yeah,
Winter Soldier suit, but it's
yeah.
I'm
just
sure that he's got multiple suits. That's just like one of many,
Probably.
yeah.
right?
I
Yeah.
mean, there's
It's
probably a
like,
reason for that. I want to see him in the
yeah.
white suit. It was he looked great in it. I thought he was awesome in yeah
He's
in
got.
that
I
suit.
know it's gonna
I
be
like
like
him
he's
in
gonna
that.
have different. He's gonna have
Yeah,
multiple different suits.
yeah, oh yeah. Other stuff. Empire magazine have dropped just a few more
Ah,
first looks of.
this is good, brother.
Uh, yeah. What's the dog's? The dog is Deadpool dog, right? Okay.
Dogpool,
Dogpool. That's
Dogpool,
it. Dogpool. Yeah. Well, I
Deadpool's
don't even.
dog, Brandon. That's
I
ridiculous.
I don't even know
He's
the story
obviously
behind Dogpool.
Dogpool.
It's
What
just
do you
like
mean?
a YouTube, like a YouTube dog or whatever. Just the ugly dog that got famous.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah, it's like
But
ugly
this.
cat, grumpy cat or whatever. It's just
But
someone
does
who has
the.
an ugly dog
Oh
and like
really?
put it
Does
online.
Does the dog actually have like superpowers? Probably not. Or
He's
is it just a gag?
Dogpool.
Huh? Dogpool?
He's Dogpool. I don't know how to explain it. There's Deadpool's across the multiverse. There's Lady Deadpool, and there's
Uh huh.
Dogpool.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair
Just like
enough.
somewhere out there might be a Brent Pool who's sitting right here in a Deadpool suit recording his own podcast.
Uh huh. Uh huh. That's all the news I found this week. There was anything interesting that we kind of, usually talk about. I didn't see anything else, unless you guys noticed anything that was worth talking about. Pretty sure. Oh, and of course we did get the trailer for Deadpool 2 weeks ago, so
It was a boys trailer this week. That
Oh, you know
was
what? I still haven't
pretty
watched
big
that.
news.
I actually haven't watched that trailer yet. I don't want to play
That's
it
all
through
right.
here because otherwise it's going to get monetized. So, but yeah, I'll have to check that out for sure. That's it. They did drop a Boys to season two, four. Sorry, season four trailer. I just literally have not sat and watched it. Anyway, let's jump into some of the meat of it, guys. Let's do the whole May the 4th be with you bit. We had a lot of stuff drop this week. A lot of things, some things end, some things beginning. Star Wars Celebration did drop all their tickets, and as far as I know, everybody I know on Twitter who was going after tickets managed to get their tickets. So I'm going to assume that tickets were plenty available to go to Japan, but
From
just too
what I
expensive.
understand, people in Japan aren't really buying the tickets. It's mostly people in
Over here,
yeah, over here.
that's funny. That
And
yeah,
I
I
heard
haven't read
the
too much.
hotel phase is going to be insane.
All
I heard
right.
tickets are going to be easy. Hotels are going to be crazy.
Oh, I don't want to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. Again, it's like everybody I know, managed to get tickets quite easily. So uh, that was kind of like, again, that I know who are going. So it's like, okay, that's good. I'm glad they got tickets. I kind of wouldn't want to pay the cost of the travel and this and that anyway. But it'd be. I'll wait till it comes back into America and the celebration comes back here. But it is
I
worth
mean, it was
going.
nice. It was in Anaheim, man. That's like just drive straight to it.
That was it. Yeah. Yeah. No, totally. Um, Max and I ended up by catching and doing a reaction to the Bad Batch series finale. Max, let's talk about it for a couple of minutes. As shows go, we had some ups and downs about things along the way. I thought it was a decent season. I like season three a lot. I think the finale came out. I think we both agreed that the finale played it safe when it came through to finishing the series off. Do you agree?
Yeah, the season started off with a lot of steam, and then they never
Hmm.
moved past the idea of what if Omega keeps getting kidnapped and they keep trying to kill her, and then the Bad Batch rescues her? It's like the same. I
Yeah.
feel like we were running in circles for the whole season while they
Right.
dripped at us some information. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there need to be some more tense moments. I think they introduced Asajj Ventress for an episode, and she would have been way more interesting to stick around than just to show up and
I'm
leave.
I am trying to figure out what the entire purpose of
It
her
was just a
popping up
cameo.
there.
It's just fan
But
service
but
mixed with
but
showing she lived. She has a
yeah,
new
but
haircut.
yeah, and but the reality was it's like I mean they obviously introduced her there because they're going to serve a purpose for that character in future animation stories or live action is my
Maybe
only
not.
guess.
They say they are,
I
but
don't know about that.
we both know.
Yeah,
Star Wars stories never seem to start or end. They just kind of are always kind of in the
yeah.
middle of something.
Sure, but because they had this situation where she had died in Dark Disciple, and then in the books like prior to in the Clone Wars, and then she'd pop up again, and now we're led to believe that somehow the Night Sister had magic, rein, she basically says she has 9 lives. It's like, oh, okay, fine, fair enough, many lives or something like that. I kind of think with a character like that, yeah, they had to set up something now because they're going to play with that character later. But I feel like that it was a weak premise because ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't think we got
No, I get the
anything
premise. I
about
like the
Omega. Yeah,
idea.
yeah,
The premise, yeah, the idea of the purpose was Ventress is lost. She's just as
yeah,
lost as Omega, but in a different way. She's the dark reflection of her. She went to the
yeah,
Sith
yeah,
and doesn't have now. She doesn't have a family. Doesn't have any friends. She's just kind
yeah,
of alone.
yeah.
Omega doesn't know what she is yet. She doesn't know she's force sensitive.
Right.
I think Ventress lied to her. I think Ventress knew she had a pretty high midichlorian count, and what she
See,
was very.
I
This is I
I
know we
don't.
disagree on this. No, no.
I honestly think it's the other way. I think she had a low
No,
metachlorine
hear me
count,
out. Hear me out.
but the yeah. Okay, all right, okay.
Okay, so she
Smart
definitely
analogy.
lied because Brent's wrong. She definitely lied about the midichlorian count because she didn't want to bring Omega into this life. She saw how the Jedi died and the Sith died
Okay,
out. The Sith,
all
there
right.
was only one way out of the Sith, and she saw the only way through the Jedi and Sith is death. She didn't. She stopped believing in that way entirely, and I think she just
See,
wanted to keep Omega out of that.
See, I've got this other perspective. I think that Ventress really did pick up on the fact that, yes, Omega, we have seen it before, is lightly force sensitive. She has these moments of emotions. We saw that in season 1 where she has this connection with Crosshair and moments of like sensing. It was more about sense. She could sense things. I think the reality
Right now,
was
she's also super
that
young.
but I think it was really truly about the fact that because she had this ability of the flow of when she was created, that her genetics were the right genetic makeup that allowed a force element to pass through it, and that's what Palpatine was looking for. Is and what what's his name Hemlock was looking for, the villain of the season. That was what was the major thing, and they kind of hinted that, but they still never quite 100% explained it. They just kind of, again,
That
they left.
about this season. There's so much of it was like
Uh-huh.
there's this whole Project Necromancer. Let's not explain it at all. It's going to be super vague. We're going to be super
Yeah,
secretive, and there's going to be
yeah,
absolutely no payoff.
yeah. No, and we're right here. Yeah, a lot of the viewership were definitely, it's for kids kind of thing. So they did do a finale, and it definitely kept it safe. Again, no major deaths from the major good guys kind of thing. Sorry, spoilers there. But we also left a lot of things unanswered. We leave characters like
Omega has a little
Sid
bit of a
and
cliffhanger. I mean, she goes off. This is a little bit spoilers to
that.
do
Oh
her
yeah,
thing in space
yeah,
with the
yeah. They did it.
rebellion.
Yeah, they did an epilogue, and the fact that she goes old, and Hunter and the others get old, and she goes off and decides by her own choice to join the rebellion. So there are plenty of stories. I like that story arc for her because it means that we can get to see these characters again in the future.
Yeah, I think she's
Yeah,
unfortunately placed in a difficult time period. That's
yeah,
I mean, it
uh,
sucks being a Jedi in the age of the Empire because you can never do
uh,
anything important because it only
yeah,
has to be Luke Skywalker or his story doesn't make
right.
any sense if there's other Jedi out there doing
Yeah,
Jedi stuff
but
before
remember,
being
she's
Force
not a Jedi.
sensitive.
If being force
No, but I'm
sensitive
talking
doesn't
about
make you
people
a
like
Jedi,
her and
yeah.
no, no, like people like her and Cal Kestis, who kind of live amongst this time of like
Yeah.
you have to be in the shadows or can never really do anything important, and you also can't be the big rebel hero you want to be. Otherwise,
Yeah.
everything Luke and his friends did were for nothing. Not
Yeah.
for nothing, but it
Yeah.
doesn't seem as important if there's a million other stories out there and everyone's the big rebel hero.
Well, it's a big galaxy, and like, come on, they can't know about everything that's going on all over the
No, well,
galaxy.
you're right there. No, you're completely right.
It's
And I
like,
Yeah.
think, yeah,
I don't know how big the Star Wars galaxy is per se,
yeah.
but like you're all talking about characters I know nothing about. So as
But
long as they
they,
Oh, dude,
can,
I agree with that comment. Actually, he's a really good point.
yeah,
Um, her force sensitivity might be slightly dormant. I think it's like dormant in
yeah,
a different way,
makes
where it's
sense.
like she had super strong connection to it. She was able to do like certain skills at a very young age, but she
Yeah,
didn't have the training and didn't have the like kind of awakening to be able
yeah.
to fully control it.
The uniqueness is that it is force sensitive powers inside of a clone, and that alone, is again, that's the chemistry that Hemlock was looking for to reproduce for Palpatine. Obviously, it all goes back to Palpatine, Elijah. But
they just call it the Palpatine saga. It's just
yeah,
like it's
yeah,
the story of
of
Kareb
course, yeah.
Creek.
But at the end of the day, as a series, I still favored Star Wars Rebels. That is my favorite.
Well,
Clone
those had a lot
Wars
more
is up there.
development. That was my biggest
Yeah,
complaint with this show compared to every other Star
yeah,
Wars show is there
yeah.
was so little actual character development. I mean, what was
Sure.
Hunter's
Yeah,
development? Like
you're right. Yeah,
Wrecker kind of didn't do anything but be a comedic foil.
yeah, yeah,
Some
yeah.
characters like Echo had a
And
little bit of development, but the
yeah,
development was only like inflicted pain. I guess Crosshair
Crosshair was
wavered,
the main.
but
Yeah, Crosshair was the main development of all the characters. He and even Omega had some development, not
Omega
as
had
much.
some.
Yeah,
She was
I mean
always kind of
she.
the same person, just running
Sure.
headfirst into danger with a
Yeah,
slingshot.
but she also grew as she learnt things. You could see her taking and absorbing that
Yeah,
information.
she got
And
better at what she did, but
but
I don't know
Crosshair
if her
really,
personality
yeah. Sorry,
changed.
but yeah, Hunter, Wrecker,
Hunter was
and
pretty always been like a main
Echo did not
character,
have
and he didn't
much
do
cross. Yeah,
anything.
yeah,
Hunter was just
but
like the guy who just runs into battle with the
yeah.
sword, beats everyone, and says,
No,
"All right,
you're
guys, let's
right.
go to the
Yeah,
next
yeah.
one."
And I think
Like,
as a series, it would have been nice to have seen that character get a bit more development. And we did see some development out of Tech a little bit, but his life got cut short at the end of season 2. And you know what? I am glad that they did not decide to make one of those Clone X troopers, a raised,
that ended up just being no
a
one
tech character.
again.
Yeah,
Like every Star
yeah,
Wars character now, people get
yeah,
hyped about.
yeah. No, yeah, the Clone X troopers were like, okay, because they were like,
They really built them up
converted
like you were
clones,
gonna know who they
brainwashed
were.
clones. Yeah, yeah, and I think that was always, I guess it was always meant to be that way, and I was kind of fine with that. I was just more
It
worried
was
that we were
whatever.
doing it to tech, yeah. But then
Just
we
made
also
the show
had,
blander. We got less stuff
yeah,
out of it, less
yeah,
information. I
yeah,
mean, it kind of sucks
yeah,
when we're being more creative than the writers of the
yeah.
show. We're having all these interesting ideas of what things could be,
Oh,
and the
sure,
show's
but
like, "No,
remember,
take it away safe,
yeah.
and this is all normal and happy."
Yeah, but Star Wars has gotten, especially Star Wars animation, has I guess the TV shows as well have gotten very comfortable with this idea of setting up a character, not even necessarily setting up an arc, but releasing a character back into the wild so that somebody somewhere down the track can interact that character around another story arc. And I'm not talking about major characters, but I'm talking about characters like Commander Cody, who, in season 2, was rescued, saved, whatever, and then just went, got, pulled out of,
And then
glimpsed
never
out of the
seen
Empire,
again.
and was never seen again. And the only excuse was he went AWOL and disappeared. That leaves us up to
He,
speculation. Did he really die, or did the Empire kill him? Or did he actually escape? But we never got to see that escape. We never got to see that satisfaction of a character like that getting to the point that they could be out there. So there are elements we're seeing from Star Wars in both live action and animation that are doing that. Sid, the character
I
that
don't
we
think that's a
thought
good
everybody
thing,
wanted to
though.
get
She wasn't
revenge
even in
on,
the season. Sid wasn't even in the season at all, right?
yeah,
They
no,
flashed
she
to
did, yeah,
the Sykes
yeah,
character for one
yeah,
second and then never
yeah,
cut back to her. I mean,
yeah,
the show was
yeah,
very disjointed when
yeah,
you really look at it, at the characters they built up and the ending they set. I
yeah,
mean, I think when you're doing a finale of a show,
yeah,
you should include some of your recurring characters. And that doesn't mean just the
sure,
villains, but
yeah,
like some of the actual characters who
yeah. Well,
developed
this
along the way
story arc,
with their primary crew.
yeah, this sorry Elijah, we'll move on in a second. This story
that's
arc
all right.
though
Okay.
didn't really leave much conclusion to be anything but the current story itself. I don't think they. It would have been too much if they kind of added Cody into the mix or added Sid into the mix. Looking at the particular story, so I'm glad they didn't try to force that. At the same time, it's loose threads that we were left from the show's ending that didn't necessarily lead us to a future with other characters they had developed in the
No, they're
course
gone
of the show.
forever.
No, well, that's the thing. I think that the characters are not gone forever. I just think that they will
I would
decide
like to see
to
Wanda
loosely
Sykes
pick them up
appear.
elsewhere. Yeah,
I would like to see Wanda
because
Sykes appear in the Mandalorian live
how's it going,
action movie
Anthony?
as her character, because her age would kind of match up.
Yeah. Sorry, hey, I just want to check out this question here. I thoroughly enjoyed the series. Oh, that's cool. That's great. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. I mean, there was some really cool moments. I think the animation alone is amazing in the show. They just get better and better every single time, and the score was beautiful too by the Kindness. You want to know more secrets behind Dr. Hemlock's handiwork and his origins? Yeah, see, again, it's like Hemlock became one of those villains as well that pops up and doesn't really have or shed too much of a background. He's just there. And I guess we got the same thing. If you remember Star Wars Rebels, it was in the arc, Max, with when Ezra finds the temple, the Jedi temple at the end of season 4 and goes in. You've got that one archaeologist who's voiced by McDowell. What's his name? Malcolm McDowell. Is it Malcolm? No, sorry. What's his
Malcolm
yeah.
McDowell?
No, not Malcolm McDowell. Crap. I can't remember his name. British actor, anyway. And he voiced his
Malcolm
character.
McDowell.
It was a really cool character, huh? What's that?
Malcolm McDowell.
It was Malcolm McDowell. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Malcolm McDowell, I mean, like he's got a very distinct voice.
Yes. It was. Yeah. It was Malcolm McDowell. Sorry. Yes. But he voiced this character at the end in that, and he was only in it for like 2 episodes. But he was a character that was fascinating and interesting, and I found Hemlock a very interesting character, but very little about their past, which means that they once again leaving it open for somebody else to tell a story about that character. But I feel like we needed just a little bit more from those characters to get a bit more of their depth in the in the current here and now situation with that. Anyway, that seems to be the trending thing with Star Wars, and I've always said that character number creature and robot number 6 in the background of a scene has a story. And I want to know what that story is. The problem is we're getting a little bit of some of these characters, of these new introduction characters, but we're not getting like enough to fill, to
fill your collection needs. You need more stuff to buy.
I want more stuff.
Characters. You need more characters so you can buy more stuff.
Enough,
is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. Okay. So you believe that Filoni and the team are setting up possible season 2 animated series around the park?
Yeah.
There's definitely a possibility.
I mean, that's what they're looking to explore. They're setting up the idea that there's all these kind of floating around Jedi, and they are kind of just simmering around the galaxy, hiding what their thing is the hidden path that they set up. We've yet to really explore that. I think that'd be something super interesting to get to follow.
Correct. But the thing is, we were also expecting this great big, when we came into the Bad Batch, we thought this is going to end up by having this is going to be the final confrontation of all the clones. They're going to get together and have one last, journey at the corral kind of thing, and before they're kind of taken out. And they're not going that direction with it. It seems like the clones just wither and disappear into the mists of the universe now and become like that old clone we saw sitting there in Kenobi, the series, played by
that's what I was saying.
Morrison. Just be episode. And just be kind of lost and be one of the lost the lost clones that just disappear out there and die of old age, rather than try to create something and fight for something, because we see Rex and 2 other clones at the in Star Wars Rebels who look like they were survivors from all this, and it turns out no, they were just part of that there. So we get these ideas in our heads about how we think something may be going, and they kind of don't play it out as big as it ends up by being. The hidden path, I agree. As I said, I'd like to see a story about the path. I'd love to see Ventress and Voss and all those other characters that might be around at that time period play out into a story. but I also don't know if that's something they're going to end up by doing. I mean, I don't even know what the next animated show is going to be. They haven't announced anything yet, so we don't know. Hopefully, we'll hear sometime soon. I thought they would have announced something during,
Probably
this
during
this.
Celebration, I'm guessing, is when they're going to announce their next big
But
show.
Celebrations next year. They'll be dropping a new show by next year. I would say we
You think
might get
so?
something.
Like an
Yeah, I
animated show? I think they would have announced at least announced it by now.
no, I don't think so because they really didn't announce the Bad Batch until uh, for some
Well,
time
they have
after
like
the
the
Clone Wars
Acolyte
ended.
and Skeleton Crew and the Mandalorian movie coming. They might
Right.
just be taking a break from animation for a bit, focusing on animated
No,
shorts
oh
rather
no,
than TV
there'll
shows.
be at least 2 shows ahead of everything. They will have stuff going.
Yeah,
Uh,
I guess we'll
I,
see.
I just don't know when they're going to announce it. We might not get an announcement until maybe the Acolyte comes out. It may not even be until later this year when they release Skeleton Crew. We just don't know. Um, and Yeah, and then they may do this too. I mean, Tales of the Jedi. We hadn't seen the character Barriss Offee for at least 10 years or so. At least it was the end of this season 5 when she last appeared. So we actually might end up by seeing characters reappear in a series of shorts of Tales of stories.
I don't think they
So
put Barris Offee in Tales of the Empire and Tales of the Jedi. I think they would say Barris Offee as a supporting character for something larger,
I don't
bigger
think she'll pop
impact
up in
show.
anything big in the future, though. Okay, so let's talk
Yes,
about
she would,
Tales of the
because
Empire. So, guys, Tales of the Empire. We've actually only watched the Barriss Offee arc at this point. I was really tired the other night, and we didn't get the chance last night to also, catch the first arc around Morgan Elsbeth. So I do want to check that out, and we're going to be doing a reaction to that small arc and dropping it soon. Uh, but at the same time, let's just talk about the Barriss Offee arc. Um, Elijah, you watched it. You had to see it separately because you were in. What was your thoughts on?
Well, I'm
Yeah.
not in, this. I don't delve that deep into the Star Wars
Right.
lore. So, like, obviously, these characters I don't.
Okay.
Other than
So
the Grand Inquisitor wasn't in there, right? Like,
yeah.
I didn't
So
know who the
as
characters were, but
sure, yeah,
I,
as
I
a set
like
of
I
stories.
liked it. I liked the animation. I liked the
Right.
sound. It was cinematic. I kind of liked how the shots were set up.
Yeah.
I still kind of don't like their character design. The animation's not bad,
Okay.
but like
Jason has a
it's
problem
just
with that too. Yeah.
it's always been the kind of character design and the faces and
Yeah.
just that's mostly what it's been the whole time is just
Okay.
it just doesn't
Right.
suit. I don't know. There's something about it that I just don't
Yeah.
um
So
that don't
this
really
that
doesn't really
aside,
grab me.
but their landscapes are beautiful though. I mean,
Yes, the landscapes
yeah,
and some of that slow, the action stuff,
mm-hmm.
the opening shots, some of that stuff
Yeah,
it stood out to me that I liked.
right,
And the story, I mean, to me the story was okay. Like it
yeah,
was better than the previous stuff I've seen, but
mm-hmm.
also like, this is not just out of my interest in some of the Star Wars universe kind of.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I think Max, we had the same thing in our reaction. Was that the story was just okay? There was some things in there that didn't quite necessarily.
it was also a little disjointed, and I think that was because they tried to do three different time frames. And I think that because of
See,
that, we did that.
I love
Well,
that. I love
the
seeing
idea was
time difference
smart.
for a character.
It,
Yeah,
we didn't really get a great sense of the
yeah,
characters and their relationship and what they were really doing in between that time. We just saw Winston felt so brief, and the
right.
actions felt so decisive, and we
Yeah,
didn't really know what they were really about. Because if we see
yeah,
them, and then the next short, we see her recruited, and the next short later, they're already fighting, and she thinks she kills her. I
yeah.
mean, it
why are
happens
these episodes
really.
only 17, 15 minutes long? Why are they short?
They're
Why
just
they
short,
short?
so we know they're doing this.
Because I think they just want to kind of. I think it's because of
It's for the
characters like
Emmys.
that.
No,
Yeah,
that's the real reason. It's for the Emmys so
yeah,
they can get
yeah.
nominated for best TV
It's
short instead
yeah.
of best
That's part
episode.
of it. But the thing is that no, right, Elijah. I think the idea is
Because
the
they were a
short
little
is
disjointed in
yeah,
even in a short
yeah,
story. It's like, geez, like you're kind of
yeah,
jumping all over the place. Like
yeah,
you have 14 minutes. Just show me like 14 minutes of like one thing. Like that would be
Yeah,
more captivating than like I was watching. Like I don't, for me not knowing these characters, I'd rather just see one character for 14 minutes and see what they're doing
right.
versus us like a miniature story like that. I'm like, what? I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
guess
don't know.
these are definitely designed to set up characters, and this is where I was going in the last segment. They're talking about with the Bad Batch. They introduce a character, but we're kind of we want, if you're invested enough into it, you want to know a little
If
bit
you're
more.
invested and you come back 5 years later
That's it,
to see that
and that's
character
what
again,
that is what's happening. This is
That's
10 years
great
later.
storytelling, though. It's
Yeah,
just, I'm gonna be honest,
but
it's not good
yeah,
storytelling. You can't
but
just
no,
put everything in a pot to simmer for years. Sometimes you
right,
have to
you might
be a
walk
little
by in a
decisive.
yeah,
yeah, he might
because
walk by in
yeah.
an alleyway or in a
Right, but
marketplace.
this is where I was going with it because we want to
Mhm.
know now we don't have enough information. We may never see these characters' story arcs again, but these become those side characters. Like I was saying with Hemlock, we saw his death. I'd like to know about who he was, how he got to power, but we might get that character in a series of shorts somewhere down the track in a Tales of story or something completely different. But it's
I kind
not
of
going to
hope not. I
necessarily.
want them to
A
explore.
little long to wait
Right,
for
but
something
but I
like
was
that.
saying like they could do that, but the question is that enough? Because it seems like the Barriss Offee stuff, it was weird, and you were the one who pointed it out, Max, in the second episode. Barriss Offee survived this long as a inquisitor, and yet she had compassion, but she kept on having
People did some
compassion.
horrible things, and then this one time was like, yeah, I'm over it. Like, you can't
Yeah,
just glaze over the fact. Like,
yeah,
this is a horrible example, but imagine someone worked for the Nazis for 15 years as
right.
like a Gestapo's assistant foot soldier or whatever,
Yeah.
and like 15 years in, they're like, I have a change of heart. Wouldn't
See,
it
I
have?
don't even think it was a change of
I kept
heart.
thinking this.
Yeah,
This episode kept making me think Star Wars needs like their Nuremberg trial of like to put
right.
the people of the who worked for the Empire
Yeah.
and became the fascist overlords of the galaxy and put them on trial for their crimes
Yeah.
and see the ramifications of that with the new Republic and all that.
Right. But I
But we
think
don't
that
ever actually see that.
Yeah, but I think the big issue we were having was that we never saw her witness enough of this stuff to
Yeah,
know
you
that
see one
moment,
time and
to
the
see a
kid there one
development, to
time.
see a
Yeah,
development of her getting to that point. We just suddenly were cut to a point of like, oh, this is the moment she decides to fight back, but we didn't. We weren't as in, we weren't. It didn't feel as investive enough to the character to be invested that she was when we left her. She believed, she believed Ahsoka was wrong in the wrong. She believed that the
but then
Jedi were in
that's
the wrong,
the problem with
and
it.
and
You just glimpses.
yeah,
It's 'cause it seems like she only felt bad because she got put in prison and tried, and all that happened. But
yeah,
there's no moment where she gets to actually like make amends for what she did or actually feels bad
right,
about it.
yeah, yeah.
Most
So
of her
the
past is pretty unaddressed compared to just
yeah,
throwing her to the Inquisitors in that brief window we saw of her life. We've
yeah,
seen 20 years like of
yeah,
her history before then, and
right.
that was barely addressed.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think there was a great little moment in the third episode where she says, I'm going to send you to a friend. She will help you. And we know she was referring to Ahsoka Tano, which means she also, by that time, made amends with Ahsoka and that story arc. Again, it's like there was some nice hints along the way. I just feel like she wouldn't have survived as a Sith, as an Inquisitor for so long, for nearly 10 years at least, by the time we got to that point in the second part of that little short story,
They also didn't
that
even
they
give her a
wouldn't have just
number.
turned around and said, listen, there's something wrong here with you. We're going to kill you and execute you because we don't want you with us anymore. And it felt like there was something missing there from that for that story. But at the end of the day, yeah, I do need to. As I said, we need to check out the Morgan Elsbeth story, and we'll definitely talk about that next week, I'm sure. Any other last thoughts on what we watched on the Tales of the Empire arc?
I don't know. I think Barris deserved better. Her death, if that was her death, if that is her death, it felt like a cheap death to accidentally die by it like that. I get the
Sure.
sentiment
Yeah.
and the meaning of it, but she has
Yeah.
so much history that
Yeah.
was just not addressed in these three shorts that I
Yeah.
think, this just didn't tie up any loose ends as
Yeah.
much as it did just bridge her.
How long do you think Barasofi was an Inquisitor? Well, I mean,
At least
obviously,
5 years, probably.
oh no no no
I
no! It was
think
longer.
so
It was
too.
longer than that. No no, it had to be longer. I tell you why. Because when she was looking out at the Jedi Temple, that's when was it Liz or what Liz or whatever the
Lynn,
Lynn. Sorry, when
Lyn.
yeah when Lynn came and grabbed her and took her out, that was almost like that was the day or the week of that she was indoctrinated into the Inquisitor line. By the time we hit the second episode, that second episode was already right in the middle of the rebellion, and the rebellion did
Oh
not
yeah, they
really
do mention the
truly
rebellion in the
start
second
until the
episode.
end of Rebels. Rebels is when the rebellion was officially called the
That's at
rebellion, when
least
they all
15
pulled together.
years, or at least 12
That's
years.
about 12 to 15 years. It's after
Yeah.
Kenobi the series, so she was in there for a good 15 years. As for that last part of the story arc, the Empire was still there, which
Everyone's
means it
saying
must.
she just aged badly, and I hate that explanation. I think it's such Star Warsian weirdness
Oh,
of
if
like
you live
once
in an
you hit
ice
middle
planet, it'll
age.
affect you just as badly as living on a desert planet. I would
How?
imagine.
That's not
How?
a thing. I don't think that's a
I don't.
thing. I mean,
I don't know. Look at Eskimos. Their skin has a very interesting shape deterioration very quickly over the course of time, and they live in the snow. So you've got this change of landscape that will be harsh landscape against your skin. I thought it might have been because of the Sith element. It was like, nah, that was wrong. Jason laughed at me for that. But yeah, I feel like we were probably closer to Return of the Jedi by the time we hit that last arc. It would have been at least that time period where the Empire was either just barely around or at the end of their kind of story kind of thing. But so yeah, I think that's how long that time period plays for. As for her looking old, yeah, for it is ultimately harshness of living in a ice planet for most of her later life. But Lynn looked fantastic. I mean, she didn't age
that
a
was my problem
day.
with it. That was my problem
What?
with the whole
But
scene.
but
Is
she's a different
she
alien
aged like
race too.
4 years.
Right, but different alien races age differently too, so they can
Uh,
they can show that.
I'd be so mad if I met up with a friend in 40 years. I look like a rotting trash bag, and they're just like looking the exact same.
So like that last Airbender episode where the dude's like super old and his buddy's like,
Yeah,
yeah, kid still.
Yeah, yeah, it's like that last Airbender episode. That's what it must
yeah,
have felt like for Lynn.
yeah. Fair enough. Anyway, been the case. It was cool to see, and we'll definitely do talk our thoughts about the Morgan Elsbeth, who is more current, of a character, which I'm also enjoy the character too. I just really need to get the Barasofi arc out of my system first. Guys, the Phantom Menace came out at the theaters this week, and they showed
Oh,
a scene of the Acolyte. Now they didn't
were you on
show
there?
that scene at the big. Yeah, it was pretty. It was about half full, and I saw it on like the 10:30 a.m. screening on but the day that on Friday morning. Um, Now they put the Acolyte trailer at the end of the movie, which means that there's a lot of people that would pay to go in to see the trailer, and then just leave straight after and go, "Hey, listen, I can't stay to watch the movie. I want my money back." Lucasfilm caught onto that, so they decided to put the trailer at the end. So I'm guessing there's a lot of crybabies out there who had to sit through the entire Phantom Menace to see that actual scene that they played out.
Just going
Uh,
really, really, really late.
I
Buy
I
a ticket, go
really
have dinner, and
okay.
then go in
First,
for your matinee like trailer at the end of the movie.
first, I
Because I
really
think the
did
best thing of
enjoy.
episode one is the credits.
Ouch! I really did enjoy seeing episode one on the big screen again. I had some nostalgia moments from 25 years ago of just like this was cool, and I was taking in all this. I was taking this
Did you
new
get your Java
experience.
bucket?
The No, I didn't pick up a Java bucket. They had a big R2D2 one too, but no, I don't do popcorn. Anyway, it was cool to see, but I've got to say, guys, this scene that they dropped for the Acolyte, we see a few shots of it in the trailer for the Acolytes. It is incredible, and I say
It
that
looks
with like,
great, but I have one major complaint I need to get out of the way is that these new Star Wars writers don't know how to
yeah,
name Jedi. All their names are like Glorb and Bleep and York and stuff like that. These guys don't know how to name Star Wars things. They're just throwing random stuff out.
fair enough. I'm sure there's a reasoning behind them. Anyway, they the
You
the
know,
idea.
like
Oh,
York,
shut
When
up.
they had
York,
Uh,
Nine Nub and just whatever. They're like just thinking of weird names. Like, oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
What was my father's name?
Well, at least it's not Prune Face or Hammerhead or something like that. That would be dumb. Oh, this guy's
Just
name is Hello, Prune Face. My name is Prune Face.
just stepping back here. The reason I challenged that conversation there about what the third episode might have been at the time period, I don't believe it was during the course of that because Lynn specifically mentioned the word the Empire specifically
It's a Red
came up in that
Rebellion.
episode. Yeah, it was not the First Order that came up, so that differentiated that basically told me that it was still in the
Differentiated.
time of as the Empire. That's the only reason I say it was the Empire. But I'm curious if anybody else picked up anything that yeah. And anyway, so back to this scene. They did the stunt work. I read a couple of weeks ago that they're claiming that the stunt work for the lightsaber fights are better than the Phantom Menace between Maul and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. And after seeing the way they use the fight sequences and the camera operating work, there was a shot where you see one of these characters do a flip to a second level story of this kind of a tavern like building. And as she flips up, the camera follows her up. It zooms in right on to an approaching what's the name who plays
Carrie
Trinity
Ann Moss.
yeah, Carrie Ann Moss, and then it
Remember that name?
follows her in determination right along the bridge, the thing there, all in a single shot, and it just looked gorgeous. So it's like, yeah, and the actual fight sequences, you can tell that they really really trained for this because it is very different than what we've seen in the past of the Star Wars fight sequences. So we're getting some very different fight techniques within Jedi training of sorts, or Sith training, or whatever it may be. Because I don't exactly know who was playing what role in this scene, and I think we're going to get this kind of mystery drop about something there, but. It looks great. I mean, it was good to see that scene on the big screen, and it was very cool. And that's all I have to say about Phantom Menace on the big screen. If you get the chance and you really want to see it, go see it. It's only playing for 1 week only, and it's worth checking out. Just even if you mildly there's something about seeing Star Wars and then the scrolling credits. That alone
And John
is
Williams
just like
music
it's
in a
on the
great
big
theatrical
screen.
setting.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, but then after that,
It made shut up, Elijah.
I went saw Alien.
It made it worthwhile.
I went saw
Elijah was
Alien.
right when the John Williams score is doing that. No, that's when he started walking out.
Yeah. Before the crawl, I don't want to read the beginning crawl. It's like,
Huh?
episode 1, into minutes. You're like, oh,
Elijah,
Get out of here.
I told you, we'll take you to the theater, we'll tie you up, and we'll put toothpicks in your eyelids so you can't
Clockwork
close your
Orange
eyes
me?
on it. Yeah, that's
That
the
was
one.
horrible. That would be
Yeah. And of course, going to Acolyte, we also got the second trailer for the Acolyte. We also got a new poster drop. And yeah,
It was awesome. That was a great trailer. I love the part where all the Jedi were like, "What are you?" Now there's the whole implication that all these all the Jedi masters and the whole council hid the idea that the Sith didn't die. They're still out there. We just don't like to talk about
And
them because we thought we beat them.
if you do rewatch that sequence in the Phantom Menace, it really was this moment where just after they had the conversation with young Anakin, Qui-Gon wants to train him and all that sort of stuff, you see Yoda's eyes look at Mace Windu in this really kind of like, oh well, yeah, we're being
This is
hiding
awkward.
something. It looked like this is awkward moment because I got a
Well, he
feeling
knew way too much about them. Like, yeah, he's old, but he
yeah,
knew way too much about these guys. He's like, yeah, they
yeah,
always traveling
and
too. Like,
I'm going to assume that Mace Windu was never around at this time period that we're seeing the Acolyte because it's 100 and something years earlier. So
what's crazy is he immediately says like there's two of them, and you don't
yeah,
even know about one of them, but they somehow know there's always two of them.
two,
Like that
yeah,
just seems crazy to me.
yeah, yeah, and I feel like Yoda's part of a conspiracy to keep things on the lowdown and the low key at the time of
I heard he's on a sabbatical though during the Acolyte. I heard they're not going to show him for most of the show. He's going to be
Real,
on
yeah.
vacation, taking a
It would make sense.
sabbatical.
I mean, we don't even know if is he actually leader of the
Yeah,
Jedi
no,
at that point in time.
okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I've read a lot of the High
yeah.
Republic comics. Yoda is
Okay,
on the council and very active. He's
okay,
just as
all right.
active as we
Wait,
see
wait.
him.
Part of the is it part of the council or head of the council?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, he
Yeah,
might be head of the council. He might be head
right.
because he was the one that activated the whatever that he activated this procedure that sent the younglings into advanced training, which usually they'd wait until
Well, yeah,
adulthood to begin like
yeah.
lightsaber training,
Which
or at least like
became
late.
closer to the Phantom Menace area. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
yeah,
it leads into what happens
yeah,
in the Maris era where they
right.
have all the Jedi become completely,
Hmm.
weaponized. They're a
Yeah,
fighting force rather than just
yeah.
peacekeepers, explorers.
Which means that events in the Acolyte definitely going to be known to Yoda, and he has kept a very tight lip on everybody around. I'm going to assume Mace Windu even discovered this secret, and now it's like, Mace, shut up. We're not going to talk to anybody about it. I don't
That's why Mace Windu has a purple lightsaber. That was the real
know.
bargain. I don't talk about
Yeah.
the Sith. You can make my lightsaber purple.
Yeah. See, I mean, there are definitely people that are concerned. As I said, it becomes, and I don't even think it'll be a retcon. I think it'll be just a matter of, it from a certain point of view. The certain point of view is that Yoda's going to want to make sure that people are not, Jedi are not afraid that the Sith are returning for 150 years, and try to keep that down to try to tempt things, of course, which leads to the downfall of everything. So, I mean, I think it's going to make Yoda fallible uh, as a
He's such a weird
character.
character to try and complicate like that, though. That's the
Mm,
only thing. Like, didn't they do that before with the, like, he brought it up in the comments with the nameless? Um,
yeah,
I feel like Yoda, he's such a weird character to put all this weight behind him, but he's got kind of a dark past. Like, he's
yeah,
a green puppet. Why does it have to be him?
yeah, yeah. Well, that's again, it's the thing. I honestly think that I really do. I think that Yoda. I think that's how they're going to play it out. It seems like basically George Lucas wrote himself a fixed point in time in the
Yeah.
Phantom Menace of all things when he had that conversation with Yoda and Mace Windu when Mace Windu says, "But the Jedi, the Sith haven't been seen for 1,000 years." And for you to tell more exciting stories over the last 1,000 years closer to some of these events, you kind of have to have Sith, obviously. So, again, that's why they created the Inquisitors for the, for their
Yeah.
current shows. And I
So they
feel
wouldn't
like
have
that,
to have Sith.
yeah, and that's why I'm curious to know, there's obviously a master and an apprentice of a Sith Lord and the apprentice going on in this time period, and that rule will probably never change, but I feel like I'm hoping that they do a nice enough explanation to branch out as to why there might be more Sith, or why these secrets didn't stay hidden, why these secrets stayed hidden during the time of the Acolyte and prior to. There may be something in that storytelling that we just don't know about that might blow us all away, and then there might be like loose threads where we'll be like, oh, criticizing it again. It's going to be one or the other. It's as simple as that. I think we're going to end up with that story. But no matter what, I'm excited just to see more lightsaber fights and more really cool choreography
That's what I'm looking
from
forward
this
to. I feel
show.
like it's
Yeah.
been so long. I know we had
Hmm.
Ahsoka, but I think,
Yeah.
Star Wars definitely in the last few years and tried to move away from that Jedi versus Sith dynamic that people
Uh huh.
kind of associated with it before the Clone Wars, or
Yeah.
even during the Clone Wars. But
Yeah.
in the 70s, 80s, like that's what
Yeah.
Star Wars was, Jedi versus Sith. And it's weird. I think
Yeah.
it's weird that tiptoe
Yeah.
around that now and try to lean into so many other aspects, specifically the
Yeah.
clones so much. I'm not a clone hater, but I'm just
Mm.
a Jedi lover. And I would love to see like I don't know, go back in time, show like Plo Koon doing his Plo Koon thing. Like I don't know why I
Sure.
always have to
Yeah.
see
No, you're right. Yeah.
clones all the time.
Yeah.
Every nation.
Yeah, no, I agree there. I don't want to see the Jedi in the time period of when the Empire is ruling, because the stragglers of the Jedi are not going to be real Jedi at that point. So it's like that's not, the
Exactly.
idea
I
of the
want to see
path is a cool,
Jedi.
yeah, the idea of the path is a cooler concept where they're trying to smuggle ex Jedi out, but they're not going to be doing anything. We know that the moment they use their force skills, somebody's going to pick up on it the same way
Yeah,
Obi-Wan did. And
it's
so
never
they've
going to
cut
be as
they've
cool if they have to hide everything about themselves. That's why I think I am looking
yeah
forward to that future
yeah
story that they're doing with Rey, of her
I do
building her
too.
own Jedi Academy, if that's the
Yeah
story. But I
yeah
know they're calling it the New Jedi Order, so it
yes
seems like that's what they're going to be
yeah
rebuilding to. I
yeah
think that seems way more interesting than keeping us in the Clone Wars, post Clone Wars era for
yeah
so long.
yeah.
We
What do
haven't
you want,
explored
Elijah? From
in
yeah
the animation yet, really.
What
yeah
from Star Wars?
yeah. What do you want from Star Wars in the future right now, Elijah?
I don't know. It's hard to say because
Yeah
there's like a I don't know. I have a comfortable zone of like what I like in Star Wars. Sometimes it
yeah
goes too
exactly.
far.
No, that's what I'm curious. It's like
Sometimes it goes too far,
yeah
and it's
yeah
hard. It's really hard to say. I mean,
yeah
it's just I get it that all these things they find the audience and touch people in different ways.
yeah
But that's it's a hard question for me to even say like what would I like to see in a new Star Wars movie because
right.
they have
The
tried
type
every they really have tried everything. They've kind of done a
sure
little. They've
yeah
really done a little bit of everything.
yeah.
So
Then
I
do a
don't know.
space pirate movie. I would maybe like the space pirate movie would be fun.
The
Yeah, I don't
you're
know.
talking about Skeleton Crew?
I don't, they're not pirates, are they?
That's
Are
yeah.
they
Actually,
like Jedi? Jedi-ish.
technically, we still don't know too much about Skeleton Crew, but I keep reading rumors that
I think that whole
it
show
might be
leaked on
relevant.
Reddit. Let's be real.
Well, I mean, no, it's not even that because I don't really read Reddit, but the trailer they showed at Celebration showed one of the pirates from Mandalorian that had escaped. So I
I
feel
think there's
like
gonna be
there's
pirates
pirate
in it,
elements
but I was
to it.
talking about like a crew of like Han Solo type scoundrels where kind of
Oh
live like
right,
pirates throughout the galaxy. But maybe
okay,
pirates with
yeah,
honor, not like fully like the Star Wars being pirates that we've seen
yeah,
so far, where we're just plundering nonstop. But
yeah.
I feel like
Well,
we lean into so much of the fighting in Star Wars, we don't really get to see enough of the living. And some of the most
yeah,
interesting parts of Andor were like the living aspects. I'd like to see a more
yeah,
action inspired version of that with some
right,
scoundrel characters living on the fringes of
yeah,
society.
yeah,
Because even Mandalorians and the bounty hunters live in the middle of society, doing what they do legally.
yeah. Well, quickly speaking of bounty hunters, one of the new games came out this. Sorry, one of the new trailers for a new game coming out came out this week for Hunters, which is like a whole series of bounty
Oh,
hunters.
I kind of like how that looks. I like the look of it.
Yeah,
Oh,
and they dropped a
I
trailer
didn't
for
know.
it, kind of thing. It looks kind of like it's like they're put into
Is it
this
like a Mortal
arena.
Kombat where you're fighting each other?
It seems
No,
like that. Yeah, I mean,
it's not
if you
like
have a
no,
look,
it's not a Mortal Kombat style game. It's
yeah,
like a 3D walking around, kind of like a
yeah,
shooter, but with also swords in it.
Okay.
yeah. But they've got all these elements where, yeah, I mean, it looks like there's definitely some sort of a
It looks all right. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
Marvel's also doing a game like this called Rivals or something like that. And
yeah,
they both come with the exact same bland middle of the line action games, so they can just sell
yeah,
skins to people and free
yeah,
characters and stuff characters and whatever battle
yeah.
passes.
I mean, either way, it just looks like a fun bunch of characters to have in an event. I love the Ugnaught in the old uh, decal droid there on the far right kind of thing. That's a cool piece.
Oh, that's cool. I thought that was a
Yeah.
droid. He's
No,
in
no,
the
no, no.
droid. And I
He's an
wanted to see
Ugnaught. He's an
that. Yeah,
old
yeah,
Ugnaught who
yeah. See, that
actually
was
is
like my jam.
retrofitted
I like the two guys
destroyer
from the
droid.
left stacked on top of each other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where
But again,
the Jawas just stacked on top of each other.
yeah,
I
yeah.
weren't seeing
There's
that.
two Jawas. I don't know who the guy is on the pod above there. It looks which is interesting. I also like the idea the droid with the lightsaber, which is kind of interesting. That always tells me something interesting about droids with lightsabers is like not right, and that's why I want to know what that
What I
story
like
is.
about it is it's the idea of like say Luke died and
Hmm.
C-3PO took that lightsaber and he wasn't C-3PO, wasn't scared all the time. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
it'd be a cool story to see that guy just
But
that lost
yeah,
soul wandering the galaxy with a lightsaber trying to finish
yeah,
the mission of his fallen master.
Yeah.
I wonder if they
That
put
I
the
mean,
brain of a Jedi in a droid, and then
that's it. That's where I'm going.
a
It's like
droid.
you would have to have something that relies on the
He's like a
Force.
RoboCop droid.
Yeah.
He's just like a
Maybe he's got
Robo
midi-chlorian, maybe he's
Robo
got
Jedi.
midi-chlorian jettison things he puts in his
Yeah,
body somewhere,
yeah.
and he
It's
uses
pretty
the
cool
midi-chlorian
design.
suit.
motor fuel.
The midi-chlorian affect the robotic form, and I don't know. It looked like a fun bunch of characters, and they dropped images of that stuff way back in Star Wars Celebration in 2019, which was kind of fun. So, and the thing I'm going to close up on here, guys, today, the toy line. There has been a ton of stuff. Hot Toys are starting to kind of go out into the expanded universe. This is Luke from Dark
Oh, Dark
Empire.
Empire.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting.
Not that
They
much
also,
different than his, normal look, but
yeah,
some slight
I
but
wonder
additions.
how
then
much Mark Hamill gets every time they make a new toy.
I don't know.
None.
I
Disney
don't know
owns
if
his
he's.
likeness.
Yeah, I
What?
don't know if he
Disney
does.
gets he gets nothing.
You
Disney
get
that's
yeah,
Disney's deal with every
yeah,
actor.
yeah,
Um, they own the
but
complete likeness, and you
yeah,
get an upfront payment instead of
yeah,
residuals
yeah.
for toy sales.
That's what it is. But yeah, they're going with a lot of the expanded universe stuff. It seems, or the comic universe.
Whoa! Go back to that. Go back
Yeah,
to that C-3PO.
yeah.
He's got Edward Scissorhands hands.
That's correct. Yeah, the character's a droid 000. I'm not sure if he's from the
Oh, that
comics
is
or from
Whoa!
cool.
the
No,
I
I
actually
games.
think that
like that one.
um,
I
I
like
think
that
that's
one a
Doctor
lot.
Afra's droid. I
Yeah,
have my phone on me. Doctor Afra had this
That is really
murderous
cool. I like that
C-3PO
one.
droid.
yeah, yeah. But then they're also releasing things like the Shadow Troopers. Again, stuff that we don't see in the movies or even necessarily the TV shows. They're adapting further with a lot of their stuff. New Stormtrooper form.
The
They're
costumes they
doing,
look like toys.
yeah. This is all the 12-inch figures from Hot Toys. Yeah. They're releasing one of the
They do look a lot less like
troopers.
toys now. When you see them, you're like, is that a person?
Yeah, yeah. Now they've got some really cool stuff. But
Gosh, that
then
looks like a
yeah.
Battlestar Galactica
Yeah,
guy.
but then I don't know why I don't like Hot Toys doing the gold and silver renditions of their figures. I don't think
Yeah, I don't
there's
think
any
that's
need
great.
for it. They're just doing
I
it.
think
I'm
it's
like,
just,
okay,
I think
well,
it sells. I
but
think
yeah,
it's
yeah,
another thing people will buy because they
yeah.
think it's different, even though it's
Now,
from another
yeah.
mass-produced thing.
Now, all of these images I'm showing you have just dropped in the last week of all the new stuff, but they're also redone the Maul figure. Which look at
Jeez.
just the detail
Is that
on that.
a little toy or is that like a
That's
busk?
that's the
Busk.
12-inch figure. Yeah, the six scale figure.
Good lord.
They're even making one more with his speeder. So it's like, God damn it, I can't afford any of that
That's
right now.
cool.
Yeah. But then they're also going Starkiller,
Okay,
which is one of and then
that's sick.
yeah, and then they're also releasing Darth Revan
Oh,
as well, which
Revan.
is yeah.
Is it Revan or Revan? I think I've heard it pronounced
People
both
people
ways.
yeah, I think people say Revan. I correct me if I'm wrong out there in chat, guys. I think people say Revan. Um,
That
but
mask
so
in the
we're
Bad
getting.
Batch was like the same shape as his mask, and I was really hoping that someone was going to like say some reference him.
Oh yeah,
Bad
yeah,
Batch.
yeah. I mean, maybe.
Talking about
Yeah, yeah. The one that got killed by Ahsoka in the first season of yeah Tales of the Jedi. Maybe he took that as a reference from Revan in the
I
first place.
always thought that. At least the artist did. Maybe if not
Yeah,
the character.
yeah. But I don't know. That was all the new toys that Hot Toys dropped. Micro Galaxy Squadron, which is the other line I kind of collect, also started dropping a whole pile of stuff. They're doing a lot of prequel related drops. The AT-TE Walker. They're doing the Ghost and the Phantom, which is part of the Rebels series. And then they're doing, and again, all of these dropped in the last week. They're also doing these mini pack sets, including the Desert Skiffs. I am kind of hoping they build a sail barge soon, because if they're
They
building
should
something as
make
big
the
as the
skips
Ghost,
with mirrors on the bottom.
the what? Sorry.
You know how they had mirrors in the bottom when they shot with them?
Oh right. Oh yeah. Yeah. Now but they're doing the skiffs and they're doing a Return of the Jedi line with the walkers. So again, that's all. That's kind of like the toy collection stuff that I was like, ooh. And I know Hasbro did a whole pile of drops as well, and all these other companies, but they're the ones that I kind of appreciate the most at this point in time of
Yeah.
collecting kind of thing. Yeah, guys, and basically, yeah, I think from what I saw online, people had a good week with with information drop on Star Wars stuff in the future. There's still a lot more stuff we haven't had dropped. We haven't still yet seen a trailer for Skeleton Crew. We have the Acolyte dropping in a month's time, but then we just don't know when the next animated show comes out. We had no real updates on the movies and the feature films that are being worked on. We kind of were thinking and hoping we're going to hear something about the Lando series, because I know that something's gone back into development with the Lando series, which is now
I
becoming
don't
a
think we're going to
movie
hear
from what they
anything about
announced.
that for a while. I think they're
I
still trying to
see.
figure it out.
I
And
don't know
then with the
about that.
strike,
I
they don't
think,
want to announce anything
yeah,
too quick and have it
yeah,
be paused.
yeah. There's
You know,
also room. Yeah,
they're waiting on that until
yeah,
after
yeah.
obligations do that.
There's also rumor, I believe, that the Mandalorian movie, season 4 technically, but the movie as it's going to be really announced as, or announced was as, is going to be starting shooting, I think, either June or July. And they've still got that on track for next year's release as well. So there's definitely things they're not telling us yet. I think they're playing a bit more caution about their new stuff that they will and won't, give us an advance heads up
They've
on.
also announced so much stuff that hasn't gone forward. They don't want
That's
to
it.
keep
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
that. I
yeah,
think they
and
already have a reputation
yeah,
of just being
yes,
the company that,
yeah, yeah.
at least a
I
subsidiary of Disney, that constantly
yeah,
announces projects that don't go
yeah,
forward.
yeah, and usually that is because something or someone they've chosen to represent that suddenly falls through on them in some form or way. They do something that gets badly, repped, like
I can't
what's the
believe
name they
that.
did
I
for
think they blame the
Wonder Woman, and
filmmakers. I blame them for
yeah,
getting cold feet and never giving these people the actual. I think it's a lot of
yeah,
we'll definitely make your movie, and then like, well,
yeah,
where's the money?
and then
Where's the time? Where's the
that's it. Yeah,
what
yeah,
stages we filming on? What could we do to this and this? And then
yeah,
there's never any
yeah,
actual start
yeah.
for it. I think there's a
Or
lot
they
of depending
present
on.
something. Yeah. Or they present something in the after fact to Lucasfilm, and Lucasfilm is saying, no, that's not the line work that George Lucas set. Was they still try to set some sort of line work that George Lucas had set for what
Do
they,
they? I know they say they
Yeah, I
do.
know, I
Do
know, I know. I'm just
they?
going, what there? Yeah, you're right. They
Yeah.
say that. Do they? No, there is definitely things I don't think George Lucas
No, I've
wrote
heard
or
Heard
Mark
said.
somebody
Bernardin talk
say
about it.
heard
There's
some.
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's some
Uh,
intense character work going
yeah,
on.
yeah,
I know I've used that Darth Vader. He has control, but not or power, but not control thing a lot. But that's I think a good way of putting it. When they try to have these certain rules with characters that you can't break, so the lore's at
correct.
least
Yes.
somewhat
Yeah.
cohesive.
Yeah, yeah, and I know that Filoni's trying to keep that line as well, but I think Dave Filoni's been spread thin these days, and I think that is a big thing. I think everybody said it. If Dave Filoni, he did what I consider his last really truly best work was Rebels. That's when he had a lot more control on it, and he had much. Even though he's named and credited as executive producer, I don't feel Filoni's hand in the Bad Batch
Me
anymore
either. It
as
doesn't feel like
anywhere
him.
near as much as
He's
what he
Dave Filoni's a
had his hand
character
in
guy. He's
Rebels.
big into
Yeah,
character moments,
yeah, yeah,
extra
and
action character moments.
yeah, yeah. So I feel like that he has been spread very thin, and I think we're going to continue to see that in his title or position that he's at right now, because he needs someone to hold everything together. Well, Lucasfilm needs somebody to hold it all together, and he is the right person to be doing that. But it means that his creativity of really focusing in on what George Lucas had told and taught him can get thinned out in areas, and it does show. And there are audience members who love his work and love the work, what's coming on and everything. I think everything definitely is open game for
Hey,
both
I gotta
love and
jump offline.
criticize.
Actually, I
Yeah,
gotta jump
yeah.
offline.
Okay, that's cool. I'm going to finish it up right now there anyway, guys. But thanks for joining us out there. Yeah, we'll finish it up now. And we shall catch you all later. All right. Catch you later, guys.